I have a question for you. If you're planning a staycation in the Ottawa-Gatineau area, would you rather stay at a flashy new Hard Rock hotel and casino, Ottawa, or the lakeside luxury of the Hilton Lac-Leamy Casino? Well, I recently stayed at both. I stayed at the Hard Rock in July and the Hilton in September, and the experiences were quite frankly very different. But which one fits your style? Well, stick around. Let's dive in. So let's start with first impressions. First of all, the Hard Rock Cafe is brand new. It opened, I believe, on July 2nd. And I got to say that when you first walk in, you're immediately struck by loud music, some neon lights, and of course, music memorabilia throughout the entire location. So if you want energy the minute you walk into a location, then this is definitely the spot. Fast forward to September, and the Hilton had a completely different feel. When you're driving up to this property, you can see that it's surrounded by two lakes. Overall, the sensation coming in is calmer, polished, kind of like a mini resort. I also want to do a quick note here on staff engagements. And I have to say that both locations, the staff were highly professional. The only difference was that in July, when we first went to the Hard Rock, there was a lot of kinks in the service standards that were still being worked out. And we had long delays for things like waits for dinner, access to our room, etc. Moving on to the rooms that can make or break a staycation at the Hard Rock, I had booked a king-size room, just a standard king-size room in July, and that price point at that time was $260 before taxes on a Sunday night. The room at the Hard Rock, I gotta say, was your standard sort of hotel room. It was brand new, it was sleek, it was modern, it was clean, didn't have the greatest view, but served its purpose. We were at the Hilton at the very end of August, and we stayed in a $326 king-size deluxe room. This was a slightly upgraded room with a soaker tub and a slightly better view because it was our anniversary. Way more space, calmer decor, and the view of the lake outside my window, well, for me, that was a game changer. Next up, let's talk amenities because what you do outside the room is just as important. At the Hard Rock in July, the casino floor was absolutely buzzing. Lots of music, lots of noise. We're talking over 1,000 slot machines, card games, live entertainment if it's available. We also were able to participate in horse racing because we went on a Sunday. I love the energy. I thought it was fun, but I'll admit it's not exactly the most relaxing vibe if that's what you're going for. Whereas at the Hilton, you have access to a lot more amenities. There's an indoor-outdoor pool with this really cool sort of swim port that you can use. There's a spa, although we didn't get to use that spa. I have used it in the past and it was phenomenal. The overall vibe of this place is a little calmer with artwork everywhere and places that you can sit and enjoy the views. But if you want to get a little bit of fun and some noise into your evening, you can. You can try your luck at the casino just next door to the Hilton with over 1,400 slot machines, many card tables, including blackjack, baccarat, roulette, Texas Hold'em, craps, etc. There's literally a slot machine for any taste, and there's also a nightclub and a bar here if that's what you're into. Now we're going to move on to the food because let's get real. You know, half the reason why we go anywhere is to eat food, right? And at the Hard Rock, it's mostly about casual eats at the Hard Rock Cafe, like burgers and bar bites and cocktails, although you can grab a steak. They do have a high-end steakhouse there that we did not partake in while we were staying there. At the Hilton, it feels a little more upscale and there are a few more choices. We had dinner at a Rome restaurant. We also had breakfast there the next morning. You have a lounge in the lower level of the hotel. There's also a restaurant in the casino itself. So while it's not fair to compare the Rome restaurant with the Hard Rock Cafe because they're not really apples to apples, the reality is the Aroma restaurant is a better experience and you are getting a better quality meal for the price. So from my perspective, what is the real difference between the Hard Rock Casino location and the Hilton Casino location? So for me, the Hard Rock feels like you're paying to go to an event, right? You're paying for energy, entertainment, access to gambling, horse racing, that kind of thing. Whereas the Hilton, which might be just a little bit pricier in the rooms and food costs, feels more like a getaway. It feels like you're actually on vacation, even though you're only there for maybe a night or two. So here's my take. Personally, I would go back to the Hilton anytime I want to recharge, spend time with Ralph, or just, relax. Whereas if I'm celebrating or I want to go to a show or I want to go just do some gambling for fun for an evening, I would go to the Hard Rock. Whichever you choose, I hope this helps you plan your perfect Ottawa getaway. And if you're still on the fence after watching this brief video, I got you covered. I filmed full deep dive videos on each property so that you can see a little more detail about each one of these locations. Thanks again for watching. See you on our next adventure.